The debate has been on as to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018, going back and forth, who is to be blamed, and all that. But what really are the implications? Let's begin with Jide, and let's look at the legal, implication to all of this.
Yeah, the implication is that we have to continue on the status quo. There's an attempt to amend a document, and the amendment procedure has not been concluded. So right now you can only travel. You are traveling, you are supposed to service your aircraft, you fail to service it, you travel at your own risk with the way it is. So by and large, I think all this blame game shifting is because we have not been able to establish the expected synergy between the three arms of government, and the fact that, I mean, for me, the president has the prerogative to point to some issues that, okay, go and pay attention to this, but the National Assembly is still on recess. It's so, and time is flying. And one of the
recess of the National Assembly, is it in any way illegal?
What?
The recess of the National Assembly
is not illegal. I mean, they can go on recess, all right, and they have a stipulated number of days that they should sit in a year. And that is why some of us are advising, can we look beyond political interest and examine the structure we have in this country? Can it support sustainable development? If not, drop your interest and let's do the right thing, because if it favors you today, it may not favor you tomorrow. You see, so, and then talking about one of the excuses is that 9 days will be too short to verify candidates and things like that, and I personally disagree with that. In this technologically driven global system we have, that should not be a case. I expect that as candidates are being presented, INEC has their data and everything, and on a click you can bring those things forth, and so we can fine-tune our processes. We should not make excuse for inefficiency. All right, but as usual, there are deeper things than we see. But my warning is that you may think it will support you and it eventually works against you. And our main concern towards 2019 is even the security situation in the country, because there are insinuations that if we have a high level of insecurity, the elections may not hold. Whether elections hold or not, Nigeria needs to develop. And whether election holds or not, if you are given an opportunity, it is time bound. So whether you perform well or not, you will leave somehow. You see, and my interest really is that, have we justified the opportunities we have been given to move this nation forward? By October 1, Nigeria will be how many years old as a politically independent nation? But then some are still blaming the colonial masters. And the big question I have is that, can we go and check the infrastructure we have in this country when the colonialists left us, and check their state today that we have been allowed to manage? I will take a cue from what my colleague brilliantly mentioned. We suspect one another in this country. I personally query our claim of being united, because it reflects in how things are done. So rather than coming together to make progress, we fight over things we should not fight over. I mean, if we must, if the president says, okay, I have issues, let those who should look at it come here to look at it. But if you ask me now, I may not be able to answer that. Are we expecting that the National Assembly will reconvene plenaries when they have promised? Because there is the fear of impeachment or no impeachment. So when you
beyond that, some of the lawmakers have also requested a postponement of the resumption date to allow them to attend to party primaries.
Who are the victims of this power game? Because whether you like it or not, they are earning their salaries, earning their allowances, going about their campaigns, seeking further offices, resigning to apply for another office and everything. But the people are suffering.
Let's get
the people are suffering. Who should? And the Constitution says sovereignty belongs to the people. Does suffering also belong to the people?
Well, it said in paper sovereignty belongs to the people. How much of that have we been able to exercise as a people? Let's talk about this Electoral Act Amendment Bill, the non-signing of it.
What is happening as regards the electoral bill the legislators, they have a very key role to play, and that's why they've tried as much as well to muzzle their own might to see that they could either, I can't say they wanted to derail it, but they are trying to elongate the time so that they will have little or no time for them to now say, oh, we can pass this or not. If we look at what is happening in this country, just like Mr. Jide has rightly said, most of the people that are at the helms of affairs, either the legislative, I don't think they have the interest of their people. Because if you have the interest of Nigerians at heart, not your personal selfish interest, you will try as much as possible to do things that is going to pay all. Just like we have rightly said here, this is a time where what should be concerned is development and growth of the economy. But what people are concerned about in this country is their own personal development and their financial growth. And they have forgotten something. If care is not taken, most of the things, most of the wealth they are trying to pull together now, their children will waste it. We have seen it happen to people that we have seen that were in the past. The people that rule Lagos now, their parents were never rich. Their parents were not in the political class. I can mention names. So in the next 20-30 years, if we are not careful, if we assume that let me try and amass a much wealth for my children so that they will be the ones that will rule Nigeria in the next 20-30 years, it will not happen. What you can give your children as adults is to give them just education, quality education, that's all. Every other thing will fall in place. Most of the things our legislatives doing in the presidency, when they are trying to amass wealth, is because they don't understand the cycling nature of poverty. Anything that it was stolen will naturally find its course back to where it comes from. It might be now or later. So I strongly believe that what is happening by the delays is something that at the end of the day, they will be the one that will suffer it in the long run. But Nigerians will suffer it now in the short term.
When you say they will be the ones who now, because there are different parties.
No. So when I say they will see,
there's executive and there's the legislature. And these are like two principal players in this debate.
Yeah, two principal players in this debate. I'm talking of generally most Nigerian politicians, the way we all think. When I say both politicians, and even people in the service, civil service, politicians, everybody is just everybody for all and God, everybody for himself and God for all. Everybody is there for their selfish interest. But I want to be let's it have it at the back of our mind that what we should be doing as a people is what will drive this country to development, and not what will make this country to be aback. Because by not doing what is right at the right time, you will think that you are making the country to suffer. But in the long run, you will be the one to suffer for it.
But how do we now make our leaders have that kind of mentality?
No, how we can make our leaders? They come from these different a particular local government.
And remember, they came from us.
They came from us,
just like us before
so
they got.
If they are not careful, the people that they represent will give them a fight. That's what will happen. You will see between now and the next 6 months. You see what will happen. Because most Nigerians are politically conscious.
But has that always been the case? Considering that this issue of vote buying, for instance, it's one issue that INEC is really working to tackle, especially at the 2019 election and the Osun governorship election.
That's the next 5 days?
Yes.
Okay. All those ones, anybody that is trying to buy the votes, because people are still docile, people will still want to take the money because they have been oppressed.
So it means that it appears we haven't actually gotten to that point where Nigerians are so politically motivated and politically enlightened.
No, Nigerians are politically enlightened, but are they suffering? Nigerians are suffering. So anybody will still go and queue when they see any of the political party trying to give a 5,000, 10,000. They will go and queue because they are hungry. But do they know their right? They know their rights. But can they fight for their rights? I don't think they can fight for their rights. But if you get to a stage whereby Nigerians will fight for their rights, that's where we are going now. Now, Nigerians know their rights, but they cannot fight for their rights because they are hungry. Nigerians will get to a stage whereby they will fight for their rights.
It appears the discussion is even moving not completely away from signing of that document, but about the implication in the long run on the polity, what impact could have on citizens, even on the sons and daughters of those who are in government now who are probably refusing to do the right thing.
You see, when you operate in a mismanaged environment, you have twisted results. Let's take the United States, for instance. Donald Trump is a New Yorker. Has New York benefited more from the management of America? I will tell you, no. All states in America are basically developed. In fact, we were having a discussion in the US, and somebody told me that the whole economy of Russia may only compare to the economy of New Jersey, just one of the states in the US. The economy of California is the 6th largest in the world. So when we come to that level where it matters less which region you are from.
Okay.